Hey everyone, it's Ash from Revolution Me, and this video is about social media and whether it is soul-sucking evil or is it just misunderstood and misused. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because of a Periscope broadcast that I did a couple of days ago, and that broadcast actually turned into like a 20-minute show, which was a little bit longer than I intended, and I know not everyone has the time to watch a show of that length. So I have I have recorded the replay, which I've linked to in the description below. It's a catch link. So if you want to have a look at the scope and the comments and everything show up so you know what it is that I'm talking about. But basically, out of that 20-minute show came two main points, and that's what this video is about. I just wanted to summarize those two main points about social media. There's been a lot of talk about social media in the online community with Asina O'Neill, who's decided to take herself off social media onto her own website because she wants to get away from all of the likes and shares and comments and followers, and it seems that it was a little bit too much for her, or perhaps it was creating a lot of negativity in her life. So that's what I wanted to address in this video. So the first thing to remember is that social media is not inherently bad. Social media is just a tool, like a knife. You can use a knife to chop vegetables. It's a very resourceful way of using the knife. But if that knife should slip and accidentally stab you in the hand, it's not the knife's problem, okay? The blade was dull or you were careless, but it's not the knife itself that's the problem. And it's the same with social media. It's simply a tool. It's a way of communicating with people. Before social media, we had other forms of communication. The great thing about social media, and there's so many great things about it, one of the greatest things about it is that it allows everyone to have a voice and the opportunity to share their opinion and voice their opinions with others. So it's no longer about getting your own show on TV or on radio. It's no longer about hassling the big media, the mainstream media, to get on screen to be able to share your message. Everyone can do it. And that's amazing because everyone's got something to say, and I think everyone's voice is equally valid and we should hear everybody's opinion. But I'm going to tell you the biggest benefit of social media, and that is the ability to connect with people regardless of geographic boundaries. And especially if you're in a minority group, like for example, I'm vegan, and when I became vegan, I didn't know anyone else who ate like I did. And because of social media, I was able to connect with other people and realize that there was actually a huge vegan community. I just wasn't aware of it in my immediate little circle. But there was such a huge vegan community. I got to connect with people. I got to meet people online. And then eventually I met them in the flesh. And it was great. It was like we'd known each other all our lives. And that's one of the huge benefits of social media, being able to connect. Just because it's not face-to-face, just because it's not in the flesh, it doesn't make it any less real. And I think that people have formed really strong connections and made lasting friendships and even found intimate partners on social media. I know that when I became a mum last year, my son was born in the winter time, so it was really cold out. I was still recovering. I didn't necessarily want to go out of the house to meet people. Like, I didn't necessarily want to pack up the nappies and the wipes and bits and pieces to take him out into the cold, but I still wanted connection. And thanks to, Facebook particularly, I was able to get the connection that I sought, and I didn't have to leave the house. And it's so important. And I'm sure there are many times in our life when we're vulnerable. I would say that in those first few months after having a child, we're particularly vulnerable, and we need to connect with other mums, other women in our circumstances, or women who've been there. But we don't necessarily want to have people over or to be physically leaving the house to see people. And so for me, social media was actually instrumental in feeling like I was still connected with the big wide world. I could still sort of be part of what was going on, even though I wasn't there in the flesh. And the second point about social media, there seems to be this thing that we shouldn't be looking at likes, or it shouldn't matter how many comments or likes or followers we have. But that's just kind of ridiculous, because of course, if we post something and it gets likes and comments and shares, of course we feel our ego, gets a kick out of it, and our self-esteem raises a little bit. And to deny that that's the case, I think, is deceiving ourselves. We all need to feel important. And one of the ways that we can feel important or feel unique or special is through other people liking the stuff that we put out there. And there's nothing wrong in saying that we like to get likes. We like people liking our stuff and commenting and sharing, positive comments of course, and sharing what we have to say. So I think the problem though is when we're deriving our entire sense of self-esteem from that. And I think that's what Acina O'Neill is alluding to. She was saying in her farewell video that she had felt the need to prove herself on social media. And what I would argue is that she doesn't have to prove anything to anyone except herself. So if we're deriving all of our esteem from the likes and the comments and the shares, it's because we don't have other ways of feeling that sense of self-esteem and that sense of confidence that we want to feel. And the problem with deriving all of our esteem from other people's opinions is that we have no control over that. So our entire confidence becomes dictated by how many followers we have or the comments that people make. And I think this is what she was alluding to, and this is where many people kind of derail a little bit, and they start to rely too much on social media for the sense of confidence that they need to have within themselves. If your sense of confidence is based on what other people think of you, then you're always going to be on the back foot, because you're always going to be at the mercy of what society thinks. Whereas if you have the ability to feel confident, and then other people's opinions of you can just be the icing on the cake, that's a much better situation to be in, because regardless of how many likes or comments you get, you still have a way of feeling confident and having that high sense of self-esteem. I trust that makes sense. And so what I recommend to people is, don't just quit social media because you think you're too reliant on it, because what's going to happen is something else will need to fill the void. And if it's not social media, then it will be something else. You will start to rely on something else to get your sense of self-esteem. So maybe it will be friends, it will be an intimate partner, it could be your own website, having people looking at your website or giving you money, and none of those things are in your control. So I would say that none of those things are resourceful ways of feeling confident. You need to have ways of feeling confident inside. So it could be having a life purpose, having a strong message that you want to put out into the world, having something that when you do your life purpose, you feel like you're giving back to the community. That's what makes us feel good about ourselves, to feel like our life has meaning, and to feel like we're helping people, and to feel like we're making a difference. So when we focus on helping others and giving, it actually comes back and it helps us boost our confidence. Okay, so this video is already starting to get a little bit longer than I'd like, so I'm going to end it there. I'd love to hear your comments about this. So many people have done videos about Acina O'Neill. I think that what's been happening with her is just part of a bigger picture of social media and the impact that it's having in people's lives. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to pop me a comment down below. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.